Alright, Rich Van Tassel back with you. Today is January 19th, 2016, Tuesday, January 19th, and we're giving you your weekly NBA report. Starting in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers, despite getting pounded yesterday by the Golden State Warriors, still hold the top spot in the conference by 3 games. They hold that over the surging Toronto Raptors, who have won 5 straight, up to 26 and 15, plus 3.7 in their differential. So the Raptors are really starting to come along. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan are playing very well. Valanciunas in the middle is helping that team as well. And let's see if this is the year where Toronto can go deep in the playoffs. Chicago at third. They had lost the game, now won a game. So they've continued with their wins and losses alternating. A bunch of wins, then a bunch of losses, or a win, a loss, and just going back and forth this season. Atlanta quietly getting themselves back to the top of the conference. They're 25 and 17. And at the bottom, you have the Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers, Detroit Pistons, and Boston Celtics. This is teams 5 through 8. And the playoff pictures all separated by 1.5 games. Now, the top Cleveland and the bottom of the playoffs, the Celtics are separated by 7.5. So that lead is starting to stretch just a bit. It was a lot closer early on in the season. The Washington Wizards at 19 and 21, they had gotten themselves to 500. Have now lost 2 straight. When is this team going to make a run? I still predict they will make the playoffs. I had them in the Eastern Conference Finals. However, I really am disappointed with the way the Washington Wizards will play. Charlotte Hornets trying to get back to it. They're still plus point or 9/10 of a point in their differential. They were playing much better at the beginning of this season. And Milwaukee, now 4.5 out. They've won 2 straight. They are 18 and 25. Can this team make the playoffs? I had them in the playoffs. Brooklyn still struggling. Philadelphia still way at the bottom. Philadelphia, you got to give them credit. They are starting to win at least some games now, and they should avoid a 70-loss season. So, as embarrassing as they've been, they've got to, if they can get or avoid that 70-loss season, you can look at some, semblance of respectability with that team. All right, moving on to the Western Conference. Golden State still atop. I think they wanted to make a statement game last night. They absolutely pounded the Cleveland Cavaliers on national television. They are 38 and 4. They only have a 2-game lead over the San Antonio Spurs, who are 36 and 6 and won 11 straight. Can we have two 70-win teams possibly from one conference? I don't think it'll happen. It's certainly possible though between those two teams because the Spurs are playing very well this season. Oklahoma City on a 4-game win streak. They're 30 and 12. They're another team that would be having a very, very good year if it wasn't for these two teams ahead of them in Golden State and San Antonio. They're being very quiet. Winners of 4 straight. The Clippers, they got the win last night over the Houston Rockets. They had won that 10 straight, then lost a few there. Now they're trying to get back to the winning ways. They only lost one after that 10-game winning streak, so they're back to it. Got to give a lot of credit to the Memphis Grizzlies, who are quietly starting to climb. Now they are still minus 2.4 points in their differential. However, they've won 3 straight. They're up to fifth in the conference, and they are 24 and 19, tied with the Dallas Mavericks, who are 24 and 19. Houston now over 500, even despite that loss last night to the Los Angeles Clippers. When is this team really going to make their run to try to start climbing up the standings? They're 2 games behind both Memphis and Dallas, who hold the fifth and sixth spots. It's going to be tough for them to get up to fourth, or excuse me, the third, where the Thunder are. They're 8.5 games out of that, 6 games out of the fourth spot in Los Angeles. Certainly a tall task, but that's something they've got to look for because I expected this team to win the championship, and this team should have championship aspirations. The bottom of the playoff picture, still under 500, the Utah Jazz hold the 8th spot. Portland trying to get themselves back to it. They are a half game out at 19 and 25. Sacramento also a half game out at 17 and 23. Utah is 18 and 23. Pelicans trying to rise. They're 13 and 27. Still going to be very tough for them to make the playoffs. Even though they're only 4.5 out, that record is just not very good. Granted, the Celtics were 16 and 30 last year and were able to go on a run to make the playoffs. So anything's possible, but this team's really got to shape it up at some point. Phoenix continues to plummet. Minnesota, terrible year for them. I didn't expect them to make the playoffs, but I expected them to be a little better, and they got off to a decent start. And they've just been horrific of late. They're 1 and 9 in their last 10 and 13 of 29. I believe they were 8 and 8 at one point, which would make them 5 and 21, which is not good enough. And Los Angeles, of course, still at the bottom at 9-34. That's the Lakers, that is. All right, the power rankings. Tough one. I'm still going to have the Golden State Warriors at the top spot with that blowout victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. San Antonio right on their heels at number 2, as they are in that conference as well. These two teams are clearly a cut above everyone else in the NBA. The third team, I can't give it to Cleveland after the way they got knocked around by the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to give it to the Oklahoma City Thunder again. They've quietly won 4 straight. They do have 30 wins, do have a better record than the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland has the better win percentage, but Oklahoma City has the better record by a half game. Number 4 would have to be the Toronto Raptors, winners of 5 straight, playing very well as we discussed, certainly moving up the Eastern Conference. Couldn't they get to the top spot? We'll see. Number 5, I got to drop the Cleveland Cavaliers down because of the way they just got knocked around, as we said before, by the Golden State Warriors last night. Very disheartening loss. They are 8-2 in their last 10, plus 5.3 in their differential, which is very good. But a loss like that the day before I'm doing the power rankings is going to be what costs them. So there you have it. Golden State 1, San Antonio 2, Oklahoma City 3. So the top 3 teams in the Western Conference hold the top 3 teams in the power rankings. Then Toronto 4 and Cleveland Cavaliers 5. All right, that's it for your weekly NBA report. Today is Tuesday, January 19th, 2016. Be sure to stay tuned the rest of the week for any flash news alerts and when we go back on the radio to give you the breakdown of the championship weekend. So thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your week. All right, Rich Van Tassel back with you. Today is January